Let's talk about integrity. What do you think of when you think of the word integrity? I mean, how do you define integrity? Common definitions of integrity include being honest, doing the right thing at the right time. I've heard people say integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. And here is where that gets problematic. We all think we're doing the right thing. Even people who do things that we would say are objectively evil or wrong believe they're doing the right thing. How else could we define integrity without the moralizing? At Novus Global, we define integrity as doing the thing you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it. That's the first part. The second part is, as soon as you know that you won't be able to do it, if that's the case, you let the appropriate parties know. And then the third piece is you clean up any mess you made by that breach. If we take the moralizing out of these traditional definitions of integrity, we don't get caught up in people's varying definitions of right and wrong or good and bad. How often have you not done the thing you said you were going to do by when you said you were going to do it, and you've justified it to yourself because you're a good person? Think about it this way. If I'm saying I'm doing the right thing and that makes me an integrous person, my right thing could be a very wrong thing. My right thing could be objectively causing harm to someone else. Now, it looks right to me because, hey, we're all right in our own minds. But if we look objectively at integrity as simply doing the thing you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it, it takes out the moralizing, which honestly takes out a lot of the mischief in the definition. And it allows you to grow without the shame component, without the having to be good or bad, without someone else having to be good or bad. Now, how does that change the way that you relate to your commitments? Your commitments to yourself, your commitments to other people? Have you ever experienced being out of integrity with yourself? Like telling yourself, making commitments to yourself, I'm going to do this, and then not doing it. It's fairly soon after the new year, there's resolutions that people make, and the whole joke is, they're great for the first month. Maybe. And then after that, they fall by the wayside often. What does it look like to maintain your own self-trust by operating in integrity with yourself, by doing the thing you say you're going to do, by when you say you're going to do it? And if you can't, what mess do you need to clean up, even with yourself? What judgments might you create about yourself, or shame that you create about yourself that needs to get cleaned up in order to move forward? Operating in integrity and growing your integrity is a fantastic way to develop your character. Think about who you need to be to operate in integrity, to grow, to stretch yourself so that when you put your word out there, when you give your commitment, people know they can count on you to keep it, or count on you to account for it if you don't keep it, and be willing to restore the relationship, be willing to seek impact. What would transform in your business units, in your teams, in your communities, in your family, if that's how you related to integrity? So integrity itself is just a measuring stick of how we live as our word. Honoring our word is very different from keeping our word. Keeping our word assumes that every single time we make a commitment, we put something out there, that we keep it. Now, that's not always the case, not for any of us. Sometimes we give our word and we break it for a variety of reasons. But honoring your word looks like I put it out there, and then if I blow it, or more accurately, when I blow it, I clean up the mess I made. I go to the people and I say, what was the impact on you when this or that didn't happen? When I didn't do the thing I said I was going to do by the time I said I was going to do it? Now, ideally, you can honor your word by letting people know in advance if you do know that you won't keep your word. Sometimes that's just not available to us. So on the back end, how can you honor your word? How can you live as your word even when you break your word. And that requires the type of integrity that draws you towards the person or people you broke your word with in order to clean up the mess, in order to find out, hey, how did this impact you? Were there prices you paid? How do we restore trust in the middle of this breakdown? Is there a way we can? What would it look like for me to restore trust with you? So I tell you what, for the next week, test your own integrity. How often are you doing the thing you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it? And if that doesn't happen, how often do you let people know in advance? And if it's not possible to let people know in advance, how often do you go forward, move towards someone to clean up the mess you made, to investigate the impact? Now, maybe you're the kind of person that just thinks, well, I won't make any commitments then. Living life is making commitments. We give our word all the time. We create very legitimate expectations by the things we say. So instead of trying to get out of it, what would it look like to get fully into it? What would it look like to grow in a way that you continue to stretch and push into your integrity and expand it? Who do you need to become to have that happen? And what would transform in your world when you do? If this is hard for you to process, if it sounds dissonant in some way, go check out my playlist on distinctions. If this was resourceful for you, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, make a comment. I'd love to hear from you.